Hi everybody, Lauren here. As you can tell, I look a little bit different. My hair started falling out this week, so I decided to bite the bullet and just get it shaved. And it's interesting. I can still feel a little bits coming out, but that's just the process, isn't it? But anyway, so I'm going to do a video on the nurture fertility egg harvesting freezing Lauren babies today. And this was a really important thing for me because when I got diagnosed, I had a meeting with my consultant, and basically he took me through the process of what different types of chemo, and I went for the BCOP option as I explained in video 1. And with any chemo, it affects your chances of having kids in the future because it affects your fertility. So for me, going to freeze my eggs was just a no-brainer, and I felt really lucky that I had that time between diagnosis and chemo to have that. So the whole process takes about two and a half weeks for me. We drove up to Nurture Fertility in Nottingham, the clinic, with my sister, and we went and met my consultant there, who was so friendly. They did a scan of me, they did some blood tests, and it literally is, the second you go in there, the ball starts rolling and it goes really, really quick. I'm just going to get my notes up so I can tell you about the process, because it's quite a lot to it, but I think it's really important for anyone who is considering it. So yes, it was a no-brainer for me, and with the visits you go in 3 to 4 times a week to start off with, which is quite a lot. So what I'd recommend is you have someone drive you there, because you have basically, you go in, you have a cup of tea, you sit and chill for a bit, and then you get your bloods taken every time you go in, and then you have a scan where they basically put a camera up you and they look around your body and they check your ovaries to make sure they're okay, and then that's when you start. And then what happens is they give you these injections and you keep them in the fridge, and you basically inject your stomach every day, so whatever time suits you. You can either get someone else to help you. I did it myself just because it's a bit more practical for me and how I live, and I'd rather just take the control and bite the bullet. And it's not scary. The needle is so thin you don't even feel it, so it's absolutely fine. You have these injections that you take, and I took the same injection for 2 weeks straight, and then I got moved on to a second injection, and your nurse who you meet after every appointment teaches you how to use each injection. So the first one is literally you turn it and you set it on whatever milligram you need of the liquid that you're injecting yourself with, and what that does is that makes your follicles in your ovaries build and the eggs build, and that's how you create the babies. So so I injected my stomach every night for me, because then I could just go to sleep, and I didn't have any side effects with it apart from just a little bit of bloating. And then they move you on to the second injection, and the second injection is like being your own nurse. You have to like mix it and stuff. So if you want to see how that works, if you go on my Instagram and you scroll down, I think it's like the 4th or 5th post, and I'm wearing this like multicolored dress. I was actually on holiday at the time that I was doing my second injection, so at the time you have the first and second injection at the same time, so you have to inject one side of your stomach with one and one side of your stomach with the other. But you can see myself mixing that in a little time lapse if you're interested. And you do that for another week, so that takes you on to week 2. And then week 3, after you've had all your regular meetings and you're going in 3-4 times a week, you then meet again and they say, okay, we think you're ready, you've got enough follicles now, they're the right size, we think you're healthy. And then you go in and you get given your 3rd injection, and you're not allowed to take that. And then what you'll do is you'll get a message on your little portal, and it will basically just say, okay, we think you're ready for Cetrotide, you can now inject it. They give you a specific time that you have to do it, and you inject it at that time. Then the next day you go in for the operation, and the operation is literally 20 minutes. It will happen so fast, and you can't believe that you literally were there 2 weeks ago, and then you've turned up and it's happening. Your eggs are being taken out of you, but it happens. So the operation, you're put under anaesthetic, so you are sort of asleep. I was fully knocked out. And then what they do is they put a needle up inside you, and I think what they do is just pop them to get them out. I don't really know because I was fast asleep. And then yeah, and that's it really. And then you wake up, and for me personally, it's different for everybody, but for me, I woke up and I was a bit like drowsy as you are, and then I got up and I had some food, because you're not allowed to eat 6 hours prior for the operation and drink 2 hours before. So I was starving when I got up, so I like was eating and eating. Then I got changed, and then I did like a steady walk to the toilet, and back, just to make sure that I could walk, and then got changed, and I was out in like about probably 40 minutes after. And for my body, I felt so much lighter, less bloated, and less sore. So for me, they told me how many eggs they managed to get out, and your normal amount of eggs to get out is about 20. I had 37, so my body liked producing those. And basically they do that and they tell you how many they get out, and then they have to check each egg to make sure it's okay to be frozen. So I, out of my 37, I got 33 babies, or follicles, I know that's the right term. So yeah, they are now 33 follicles on ice until I'm ready to have a baby. And that's it really. And so for me, because I did overproduce, and I'm young and I've got cancer, there's a certain thing called ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome. And basically what that is your body's overproduced so much that the symptoms and the side effects kind of happen after you've had the operation. So I did experience some of that, and some of that is basically like constant swelling in my stomach again. I looked about 4 months pregnant for a good week, super swollen, constantly tired. So what you do is your nurse, even though you've had the operation and you've left the clinic, they keep calling you constantly to make sure you're okay, and you can call them anytime you want as well. Which is just amazing, because they were always on hand 24/7. So anytime I was like, oh my god, I feel really swollen, can I call them? They were absolutely fine. They were there, which was really great. And yeah, and that's basically the egg fertility in a nutshell. Anyone going through cancer and going through chemotherapy, if they have that option, from me, someone who's gone through it, I would 1000% do it, because you know, you can't go back after you've been through the chemo. You know, you've got yourself better, but you can't reverse it. So why not be proactive and just freeze those babies and have the option for when you're older? And so yeah, so I'd fully recommend it. And Nurture Fertility were like beyond amazing. They couldn't have been more helpful. They were always on the other end of the phone and stuff. So I really, really recommend them. If I could say top tips, if you're going into it and you're thinking, how can I best prepare my body and stuff? Eat super healthy, drink 20 million times more water than you think you need, because you need to keep hydrated constantly, but like double the amount. So just drink tons and tons and tons of water. Always have someone go to the appointments with you, because after you have your camera inside you and you do the scan, and then you have your blood tests, whether you're squeamish of blood or whatever, and after it can, and then you meet with your nurse after each appointment, and she'll give you updates. So if she says any important information, you've had a blood test and you're like, oh, it's too much to remember, take someone with you. I had my sister, I had my mum, I had my auntie, like someone was always there next to me. So if I couldn't remember something because it's too much information, someone else could. So yeah, that's a really handy piece of advice. And just rest. So don't overdo it when you're having fertility, because you want to make sure your body is really healthy and producing and stuff. And like I say, it's 2.5 weeks of your life to get future children. So I'd fully recommend it. But yeah, anyone who's got any questions or queries about it, like feel free to ask me. You can DM me on Instagram, and I'll reply. And I honestly think it's like the best decision, because now I can go through chemo, which I've started, and obviously with the hair and stuff, and I've nearly finished cycle 1 now, which is crazy. But I can go through chemo knowing that I don't even have to worry about that future Lauren situation, because it's done. So yeah, I would fully recommend it. If you need any more information, I'd talk to your doctor, or the Nurture Fertility Clinic. I'm sure they can help. And also I think this is also really relevant for people who aren't going through cancer as well, who are struggling to have children, because it's a similar process, I think. So I fully recommend it, and it wasn't, you know, I didn't have a bad experience with it, and it's pretty easy. It's 2.5 weeks, so yeah, any questions, ask me. And thank you for everyone's support as well. And I will speak to you soon.